Hello, Internet. We are going to render and save a little low quality version of the animation as well. But let's start with the render. It's easier to render like in poses and stuff while your avatar is still in the center of the grid. So this is before I've added any animation. And we're going to choose pose, and we're going to pose her into any pose. For taking renderings, it doesn't matter so much if she touches her clothes. So we could have her put her hand on her hip, and then we will go to render, and we can click this little button to start the interactive render. So the one that looks like the recycling symbol. So that's interactive render. To shut off the simulation over here first. And then we should be able to see a preview of what we'll render, so we can get her arranged nicely on the page. So it will update. And then we can choose settings, and in settings, we can tell it that we want the image size to be 1920 by 1080. So that's phone size. And then under file paths, we can choose we can choose where we want it to save. Under file paths, we can click that, and we can tell it we want it to save in whatever folder. And we can also shut off the background, so we can make it a transparent background, which I find useful when I am getting ready to load it onto a PowerPoint or something. I don't have to edit around it. So that'll save as a transparent PNG, which is nice. So yeah, so once we have it arranged in here and the angle is correct, we can hit stop to stop the interactive render, and then play to start the final render. And that will render the render it with that many pixels and make a nice high quality image. So that will take a second to open, and then we should be left, or that will take a second to render, and we should be left with a image like this, or no, sorry, that's the JPEG. There she is. Yeah, or this one. So this is the one that we just rendered. So you can see it's quite a high quality photograph. So I would do that for each side, right? So I would choose the preview render and then rotate her to the side to get a side view. And then, am I recording? Yes, I am. Sorry, I got paranoid that I wasn't recording again. Okay. And then we would hit stop and play, and that would save that side view. So you have to be patient for each of them. Okay, that is how to take a render. Let's close that and make an animation. So for an animation, I would recommend she doesn't start with anything that's touching her clothes. So let's adjust the clothes, adjust the pose. I mean, I put her in a pose where she's not touching. And then if you would like, you can also choose the fabric over here and try changing the fabric from the custom standard fabric to something else, like let's try polar fleece. And then we can switch from simulation mode to animation mode. So she's already in a relaxed pose. And then under the avatar menu, so avatar, female V2, and then motion, we're going to choose from these walks. So let's choose no hands pose. She won't touch herself then, and it's going to move the avatar and garment to start position. So we can hit OK. If we zoom out, we can see she's over there. And if we hit play right now, she will walk out in just naked. And so you can preview the pose. If you want to preview another pose, I wouldn't just double click it over here. That can cause issues. I would hit Control Z, so she's back in the center. And then I would select both of these, select them, right click and choose delete, right click and choose delete. And then we could choose another pose to see how that looks. So on this one, she's just standing still and looking around. So we want her to walk. So I will right click and choose delete, right click and choose delete. So I think dress pose will be good. She walks out, she holds up her hands, she gives a spin. She walks back off. Then if you think that looks good, you can hit this, so it's back at the beginning. We want this little blue dot back at the beginning, and then this button on the left will record the clothes on the body. So it kind of thinks and does the math for how the clothes will move with the garment. So that takes a little bit to walk out. I actually feel like this, yeah, it is bouncy. Clothes in CLO are bouncy. I think if you researched the CLO website, you might be able to find settings that try to eliminate the bounce on their kind of forums on the CLO website. But I don't know that CLO is actually the best at animating clothing. I think it could maybe be used better by being brought into Blender or some other animation program that's better and has less bouncy fabric in it when animating. But once it is done and she has walked off the stage, she will pause again. And then we can get things ready to save a little video. So we can load up a stage. Stage 01 is nice. Add and hit OK. And then she'll be backstage. Yep. And then we need to shut off the grid. So that's under the world, and we'll choose unchecked, choose show ground grid. And we can have her walk out again. I also want to make sure that on the garment display, we have show seam lines shut off, we have show base lines shut off, and show internal lines all shut off. And on the avatar, you don't want avatar measures visible. That will put those dots on her. All of that will show up in this next low quality animation render. She's also walking really fast right now. If we switch the stepping from frame stepping to real time, she will walk more at a normal human pace. And then if we wanted to actually render this properly, at this point, we would go to render, and under our settings, we would choose where it says image/video, you could choose animation and you could tell it the image size again. But then if we hit play right now, this would render every single frame from this animation in this viewpoint. So that's not exactly what we want for my class. You would then need to take all of those frames and assemble them into another video editing software, which would be fine. Like, I have faith that you guys would be able to do that, but there is a quick way to save as well in CLO. So instead of rendering every single frame, we can close render, and we can go to File, Video Capture Animation. And we can change it from 1920, we can change the width and height to like phone size, 1080, 1920 by 1080 is phone size. And then we can make sure that the view is correct. So we could give it a little preview, make sure it's like nice, looks nice on her. And then when you are ready, we can hit record. So I've started it over, click that button to start over, and then click record, and it walks through the whole animation. there. And when she gets to the end, we can hit stop. And this comes up and you can see it if you want, and you can see it does look really low quality. So I'm not sure, this is just the way to do it with the video capture that's in CLO. I do think going to render and exporting every frame of the animation, that's a better way to render it, but this is a quick version. We can choose save and we can save it as an MP4. So that's t-shirt dress animation 3. And we can, oh, sorry, 4. And we can choose save, and let's preview that video. Okay, I think it's still working on it. There it is. Cool, so that looks better than the preview in CLO, actually. That looks fine comparatively. So it's still not a render, right? A render would have all of the lighting, all the details and all the hair and everything. This is still a lower quality animation, but it gets the point across, I think. Okay, so the correct way to do it where it would actually render everything, just to review that again, is going to render, and then telling it you want to export the animation, the correct image size, and where you want it to save. And then we would, yep, yeah, then you would make sure, I guess, that it looked good when walking through the render and that everything is that when she walks out, she is in the middle of the frame and things. But she's not showing up there. Strange, maybe we would have to restart it again. Dating scene. There she is, so you would have to do it for each new moment. So maybe I would wait until she got to the end of the, so that's where she's spinning, and we would want to make sure that that was like the biggest moment. So I will hit refresh again, stop and refresh, and we can get that correct in here. And when you think the placement is good, we would start that animation over. And if this is set to animation and I hit play, it's going to render every single frame of the animation and save them all in that folder. So here, maybe I can hit stop and I'll lower the resolution to very small. And then hit play, and we'll see if that renders a few things quickly. Yeah, so there it's rendering that image, and then it'll render another image. And it has to update the scene in between each of them. So you can see it would start taking a long time, but here is frame 1. And then we would need to bring this into another program and animate it. So for my class, that is, or yeah, and assemble it into a video for each frame. For my class, that is not required, but you can see they are all loading in here, each frame one at a time. So that's how that works. Okay, that is animating and rendering in CLO3D.